I use soap this time.
Fantastic, Tony. I just mentioned to you, I even showered for this interview, so that's for sure. I am here now on the Mapex Facebook page. I am honored to be here with Tony Coleman, who I've known for many, many years, a true artist at so many levels. Tony, thank you so much for joining me here.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. This is so much fun to hang out with you and everybody like this.
Hey, we've had several hangout sessions. I'll tell you something. You have always inspired me, and I've heard you play several times. And you have this feel that is just so honest and so true and so deep in the pocket that if somebody's hearing you play with whoever, if they're not tapping their foot or moving their body somehow, they're dead.
Well, Dom, for my life as a drummer, I've always been a pocket guy. And I tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
We're all inspired by all the guys,
Yeah.
And I used to want to be like Billy Cobham. So I would play Stratus, and I was with Otis Clay, the first professional musician that I worked with, a recording artist, and he's a soul singer. So he'd be singing, trying to live my life without you. Ba-da, ba-da. Then I'd go, he'd be like, don't do that. And I'd be like, what? That was cool. But then he said, hey, man, listen. He told me, I'm a young guy, like 22, 23. He said, Tony, you're a great drummer, but listen, man, if you play the pocket and groove, you're going to get a lot of work, man. You're going to be one of the cats. I guarantee you. Try it, man. He said, do that on your own time when you practice. But if you want to get some gigs and work, man, just keep that groove happening, man.
Well, I tell you, his advice was well heeded, and you took that into place. Hey, listen, I'm still trying to figure out to play like Billy Cobham. I mean, it's
yeah, hell, we all are.
Billy is a master at the highest level. But this is huge. So, listen, in the early days, you started playing. And you were living where during that first gig?
I was in Chicago. I had just got out of the military. I grew up in Florida, Kissimmee, Florida, right next to Orlando.
Right.
So I lived in Kissimmee in Orlando, Florida. When I got out of the military, I moved back home. I was going to be in school to learn to be a commercial artist. But I was screwing around in there writing songs and everything. And the teacher said, you're wasting your GI Bill money. What are you doing? I said, well, I want to be a drummer. She said, well, you need to go and do that. So I was working at Disney World wearing a bird suit during the day. Then I got fired in the bird suit because I tried to hit on some girls in a bird suit. Never try to hit on girls in a bird suit.
Well, listen, in England, they call women birds. So, you were trying to hit on some more birds. That's fantastic.
So then some friends and I, we moved to Chicago. And this was in like 77. And that's where I started my career working, sleeping in my car, all of that kind of stuff we have to do to survive. Right. Then I met a family called the Waltons, the sax players' in-laws. Let me and the bass player live at their house in their basement. And all of those girls sung. And one of them was singing with Otis Clay. And we got the gig with Otis Clay.
Oh, how interesting. Boy, think about how fate speaks sometimes, or it leads us in directions that we could have never figured.
If it wasn't for that family, I'd probably still be at Disney wearing a bird suit.
Well, thank God we got you from the bird suit to the drum set, because this really has enhanced our drumming community so much by having you involved with what you do, and that is so great. So that was your first gig. So how long were you with that band?
Well, Otis was playing around Chicago everywhere, and there was a club called the Burning Spear. It was the High Chaparral, also known as the Burning Spear. And Otis Clay, basically the manager and the disc jockey, he was the disc jockey around Chicago, WVON, and the manager owned that club. He owned the club. So Otis would open for everybody that came into town, the Dramatics, Temptations, Gladys Knight. So we were always the opening band for all the bands. And then we went to Japan. And when we went to Japan in 78, Otis recorded a live record in Japan, and it became the #3 record in 78 on soul music. Wow. And when he came back with that live record of us on there, he opened a blues tour with BB King, Bobby Bland, Albert King, O.V. Wright, who we opened also. We played for O.V. Wright.
Right.
And when the tour came back to Chicago, we had an after party, and the band and the club didn't want to. The promoter said, "Hey, you guys play one more set." They were like, "No, man, you got to pay us." And I knew the band leader. I said, "Hey, man, we'll do it." He said, "Tony, you guys always doing stuff for free all the time, man. What's up?" We did the jam session. BB heard us and offered us a job.
So, when they say sometimes to do a gig free because it might open up some doors, that opened up some pretty big doors.
Well, we didn't care. We were on the tour. We just wanted to jam, And the band leader asked us in front of all the guys that said no. He said, "I'd like to see you. BB King want to see you, you, and you. How would you like to play with BB King?" We said, "Yeah." And the other guys were like, "Oh, damn."
So was that with Russell Jackson and Leonard Gill?
Yes, yeah,
And how old were they too? That was because this was the rhythm section now.
Yeah, we were all in our 20s, early 20s, like 23, 24. We're all about the same age,
Yeah. Well, that's pretty powerful. BB, what's the BB King scenario, that family of players that came out of that were all serious players. BB was so deep. I had the chance of playing a couple of gigs with BB and just to the depth of the music and the feel,
man.
It was just so incredible. We have people that are logging on from Uruguay, from Poland, from the US, from
hey everybody.
Yeah, man, this is some serious players here. We even have my wife joined on. My wife Charmaine had met you years ago, in 1992, and when she mentioned that she was dating me, you gave the thumbs up approval.
If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be married to that beautiful lady. So I'm responsible.
You are, and I told you, I owe you a dinner for sure because, I for sure married up. And I say something, Tony, I married up. The only thing I feel bad about is my wife married down.
What can I say?
But that's
you're the lucky one.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So you're out playing with BB now. You're touring around, and now you're hitting the road pretty seriously now, right?
Oh yeah, BB stayed on the road 320 days every year.
Incredible. That's an amazing.
Worldwide, 98 countries. I've toured the world, 90 something countries, and I've added a few countries on my own. So
yeah. Well, I say it, Tony. There's probably a book there somewhere that needs to be written just to talk about.
I'm working on it. I've been working on it.
And what was it like?
Go ahead.
What was it like? What was it like being able to have this kind of experience? What was that like?
It was amazing. It was fun because, first of all, this is a dream, to be successful playing drums for a living. To work with BB and all those older cats, they would always try to teach you things, and when you're a young guy, I was so young, I rejected a lot of those older cats. I was like, man. Yeah. But my father and BB King was good friends. They were good friends because my dad was a disc jockey and he played everybody's records to break their records. And he was the MC at the Apollo Theater. Oh, and my dad created the dance with James Brown called the Mashed Potatoes. Oh. But when BB found out who my dad was, that it was a friend of his, man, he kept his foot on my neck, man. He took that role like, hey, I'm gonna teach you, but I rejected BB 5 times. He fired me. But he hired me 6. You're out there touring with Albert King, Bobby Blue Bland, Johnny Guitar Watson, Johnny Taylor, Coco Taylor, Etta James, everybody in soul music, all the great black artists, the original artists of blues and soul music, man. So it was like a school, and all the musicians, we were always competitive musically, but we were all friends. And like Albert King would tell BB, hey, BB, I'm going to kick you and Bobby's ass tonight. And we'd always try to outdo each other,
Well, I think that energy probably helped to fire up everybody for each gig, right?
Of course, it'd be like, hey, Dom, it's good to see you. What's up, bro? Yeah, you're with the other band, and you'd be like, hey, man, such and such, showtime. We're going to kick y'all's ass tonight. See you in a minute.
How fantastic. So what do you think some of the points were that you learned? I mean, as a young kid, listen, first of all, if anyone doesn't really understand Etta James, they got to go listen. Anybody that watching who doesn't understand Etta James, the depth of her music and her whole entire life story, which was just beautiful.
Incredible.
To have the chance to play with her. What was that like? What was that like just hearing her on these tours?
Well, first of all, most of the time, we would be on the side of the stage when an artist is performing, checking it out. Yeah. And we might be by the monitor board. She would make the monitors clip. When it goes, she, whoa! I mean, she was like, whoa! That was strong. And she could be very sultry and jazzy, but she was soulful. She was like, I'm giving all. All of those artists were like that. I'm giving all. Then they're going to give it to the audience. They're not going to complain. They could be sick. I've seen her and others, like BB would have a really bad cold or something. He'd be like, how you doing today? Oh, not too good, son. We got to get to the show. All right, well, good luck, man. BB King. He's like, whoa. Then after the show, all right, see you tomorrow.
So what do you think it was with this older generation? Listen, you and I are still in that younger generation, even though now we're senior citizens of what we do. But the point is, that older generation, they had some ingredient, Tony, that was just so magical. What do you think it was?
Well, they appreciated the gift they had. They loved what they did. Yeah. And they were on stage to present something to make the audience feel good. It wasn't about them. It was about, I'm going to make these people love me. I'm going to make them forget about their worries, their troubles. I'm going to make them be just mesmerized by me. I'm going to make them love me. They weren't about, well, it's all about me. No, it's about them. Mm. Like BB, all of them, they had that attitude. I'm going to get them. I'm going to make them love me more than they love you, So it was always, they were always on top of their game,
But what an old school, to have grown up as a young kid like yourself, to be able to play with these level of musicians and to hear all these level of musicians. When you mention names, like you mentioned Albert Collins, you mentioned Otis Clay, Etta James, Buddy Guy. I mean, Buddy Guy, geez, was so deep as an artist.
And see, they weren't so trying to be so perfect. They were just like raw. They were like, instead of going to a supermarket where you got a bag of tomatoes, they all look perfect. They're like the Whole Foods farm, they're like raw. They got dirt on the tomatoes. You got to rinse it off. It's like natural, just natural,
Boy, what a
natural and pure.
What a school to come up from when you think about it, right?
BB used to tell me, son, I know you wonder why I'm always on you, son. Well, one day when I'm dead and gone, you'll remember me. You say, oh, B taught me that. And he's right. I can't get him out of my head.
But I mean, all those incredible, I mean, he would play sometimes just one note. One note. And just hold it. And the emotion, I mean, I witnessed it. He would lift the crowd to their feet, screaming, just bending and holding one note in the right place in the tune. It was just so deep.
I've seen him slay a lot of guitar players that way. A lot of them. I'm not going to call their names. They know who they are.
Yeah.
But BB was like, there's a scene in a movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, where this guy has these swords and he's going, shh, shh, shh. And then what's his name with the gun just goes, pow. It's like, one note, BB. And his facial expressions always presented what he was feeling. He could have like something hanging out of his mouth or nose. It didn't matter. He was playing. He wasn't trying to be like, am I looking cute?
Yeah.
He was in the zone. All of those people, they're just in the zone, man. And that's what musicians have to do. Take this thing serious. Don't be so arrogant as to think, oh, I'm so important. I'm a big star. Man, get out of here. A hungry musician will come and eat your lunch for you. You got to keep that spirit always.
Well, listen, and you've always had that spirit, So, I mean, if there's anything that you've acquired from these deep, older statesmen in the music industry, is that you've always been positive, you've always been happy, and you've always given 110% when you play.
I want to share this with everybody. If you want to do this, man, I want to share it with you and keep the tradition of being, the best you can be for the people.
Yeah.
Not get into the work, because there's so many unnecessary things in the music business. We call it, those unnecessary things. They'll be coming at you in every angle, and you got to be like, no, thank you. No, get that out of here. You got to stay focused and you got to stay humble, but I'm a little bit arrogant when it comes to playing, because I'm like, I'm going to kick your ass. But it's all like Michael Jackson said on his video, but with the love. With the love. But the drummer, see, drummers, for us as drummers, Dom, most of the time we're in the back.
Yeah.
We're in the back.
Yeah.
Everybody's out front.
Yeah.
Guitar players. Horn players. Keyboard players. We're just right there where we have to hold everybody else together.
Yeah.
We're the only instrument in the band that just can't stop. Everybody else can stop except us. We're the heartbeat. Yeah. We're the heartbeat. We're the rhythm. We're the foundation. And a lot of times you can get real kind of sensitive, like, dang, why don't people pay attention to me? Look at all these other guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know who's running the band. You are. You're running the band.
Absolutely. It's kind of interesting because when you mention that level of, people notice. I'm going to show a question up here. This is from Sergio Bellotti. Sergio Bellotti was a fantastic drummer up in the Boston area, originally from Italy. He's one of the teachers at Berklee College.
Cool.
And he said, great to see and hear you, Dom and Tony. Last year while he was on the road with Joe Louis Walker, he kept
that's my friend Joe.
He kept hearing your name as the guy to check out for the top-notch blues drumming. And amen to that. I kept watching your videos, and what an inspiration. So here it is. You're reaching people who you haven't even met yet.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. See, because like on my Drumeo video, first of all, I want to let you know you're not a good drummer if you don't play Sabian cymbals. Just like me and Don, if you don't play Sabian cymbals, you're a loser.
And you have got, which Mapex kit do you have down there?
I have the Saturn series. It's about 3 years old. I forget which one it is, but I love the tone of it, and it's real solid. It gives me what I want, and I use Remo heads on the top. I use clear Emperor heads on the top.
Interesting. And
I use clear Ambassadors on the bottom. I like my drums to have a little bite to them. I don't like them to be too low endy. I like them to be a little bit toned up where you can hear the definition, and it kind of bites you a little bit, like.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I don't
like. Well, I'll tell you something. The Remo heads on there totally give the drums life. But those shells, I mean, here we are at Mapex now. These shells that they produce, the Saturn series, are thin, but there's such beautiful shells and really easy to tune, and they hold their tuning. And you've been with Mapex, I think, like since about 2004.
Yeah. And I only been with one drum company before that, and this is the only drum company I intend to be with. Whether I got endorsement, whether they say, Tony, you suck, get out of here, I'm gonna be like, I still play Mapex.
Well,
but yeah.
That wonderful soul Joe Hibbs, who was no longer with us, who was the one that
man, that was my brother, man,
that brought us all into this game here. He was a Mapex, artist relations person that just globally had everybody's heart, man. He really was incredible, and he saw talent. And when he saw talent in people, he wanted to bring them in, as he did with you.
Yeah, and see, the thing about it, man, I knew Joe when he worked at a drum shop in Houston called the Drum Shop.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And that's when I first met him. Then he ended up getting a gig with ProMark Drumsticks, and I think from there he went to like Tama Drums or something.
Tama Drums, yeah, from Tama, yeah.
But we were more than just business associates like yourself. We're family. We're friends, man.
Yeah.
And the thing about it in music business, well, first of all, drummers, we are really close. Drummers. If you meet a drummer in any band, we have a like, yeah, man, we know. Us drummers are always been together, but all bands from different types of music, different backgrounds, all around the world, musicians, we've always been able to come together and respect each other and appreciate each other's differences and learn from each other. We've always been a family, musicians. And with today's climate, with the racial stuff coming back, people need to be more like us musicians, man. Respect everybody and love each other and work together to make things fun and happy. You know, that's what we do, man.
Absolutely, Tony. And we've done that all of our lives. I mean, we've worked together. You know, music is what brought us together. We didn't care what religion, what culture, what race. I mean, that had nothing to do with anything.
None of that, man.
We played music so we could create something bigger than each of us individually. And that's,
you know, Dom, everywhere I've traveled around the world, I've made friends with people. I don't just stay in the Four Seasons Hotel eating room service and drinking, eating caviar and beer. I go into the towns and go to their restaurants and meet people. And I've had people that I didn't even know. They go, "Oh, BB King, they could know how to speak the language. Come to my house. I will home to eat." I've done that all around the world, man.
How when you think about it, how amazing, right? You know, we have some other people here. Carlos Gutschman, Los from Miami, another phenomenal drummer, and he texts for some of the top players. My gosh, Jerry Brown, Max Weinberg, you know, Russ Miller, all the great players, you know, Lee Levin down in Miami area, and oh my gosh, all these great drummers. He's joined us here. Check this out, man. Philip Welch. I'm not sure where Philip Welch is from. He said, Tony Coleman shaped the way I approach the blues on the drum kit. Thanks, Tony.
Oh, thank you, man.
Huge. That's huge. You know, you talked about being on Drumeo, and Philip, thank you so much. You talked about being on.
Thank you, Philip.
You did a great thing on Drumeo. You did a thing. It was like lessons from the blues. I watched that, man. It was. Listen, not only was it great drumming tips, but it really was. It was deep philosophy and deep levels of respect. Just talk about that. Lessons from the blues. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I guess how much time we got?
We got time. We got you go. You go. You know, we got plenty.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people get all sensitive because I said I'm going to teach you how to play blues the right way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's going. I watch all the comments. I read all the comments. I got nothing to do, so I read all the comments. And thank you, people, for complimenting me and telling me how great I am. Yeah. I appreciate that. But the ones I really like are the ones who say insulting things. They're funny. Like, man, this guy sucks. What is he talking about?
I get that too. It's unbelievable.
And then some guy goes, he's got some nerve saying how to play the blues. You can play however you want to play. Well, you can play however you want to play, but the blues musicians I work with, your ass wouldn't be there long.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
There is a right way and an ingredient based on the culture of the music. We have to remember the culture of the music. Like, I'll give you a quick little story and I'll tell you something. Yeah. Like, Willie Nelson and I have been friends forever, as long as BB.
Yeah.
He's like my big brother. He introduced me to Jamie Johnson, a country artist.
Wow.
I met Jamie. And on my way out in Nashville, going back to the club, I said, "Hey, Jamie, if you ever need a drummer, give me a call." And I was just kind of being a little wise ass. And Jamie said, "Well, give me your number." Gave him my number. A few days later, Jamie, "Hey, Mr. Cole, man, it's Jamie Johnson. I need a drummer. Would you be interested?" I said, "Well, sure, Jamie. When are you leaving?" "We're leaving tomorrow night." I said, "Jamie, I don't know you. I don't know your music." And he said, "Well, that's all right. You know Willie Nelson and you played with BB King. I think you'll be fine." but see, these are the things that help you when you know, people respect who you work with. They figure, well, hell, you must be pretty damn good. You know these people. So I got out there and I sucked.
Man.
And I said, Jamie, you need a country drummer, man, because I'm not giving it. You know, he would pull out some old rabbits out of the hat, and I go, man, Jamie, you can't do that to me. If we rehearse, I'll know it. But I said, man, you need a country guy that knows the classics, because I'm not playing it right. So I go to Nashville. I go to every country bar. I watch every country drummer. I go drink some beers. I go hang out. I ask questions. I watch. I pay attention so I could get inside the field of what they were doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm an outsider trying to learn. And that's how you do it. So there is a right way and a wrong way. But it has a lot to do with the field. Yeah. So Jamie said, well, you probably right. I think I'll have to get a country drummer. How about playing percussion? So I'm thinking to myself, let me see. Country Santana? I don't know if that's going to work. But I made it work. And for 2.5 years, I worked with Jamie Johnson. I learned so much with those country artists and country musicians. You know, it's about the feel. So when I say play with the proper way, I'm teaching you the way that I learned from all the original people, how they liked it, all the different variations of it. Yeah. So trust me, if I give it to you, I'm giving you some real important knowledge. It's not about your opinion. You need to listen to me. I'm the one that learned from them. Yeah. So we can learn something from each other. But hey, Dom, you're one of the baddest cats in jazz. You play anything too, just like me. I play a lot of stuff, but you play everything. See, I can't do that. But I guarantee you, when you play, you go deep to find out what you're getting ready to play.
Tony, it's the only way to understand music is to step into the world, and you have to study the people that came before you. So when you had a chance to play with this level of players, the Albert Kings, Johnny Taylor, the Bobby Blue Band, Wood Beebe, Etta, this is real old history that formed the music.
Yes.
They really were for lack of better terms, the forefathers of where blues and soul came from in that process. So listen, you were right in the thick of it.
Hey, man, and I'm going to tell you, Dom, the thing that's important, man, like, I'm going to tell you two stories real quick. The first professional drummer I ever met was Louie Bellson.
Yeah, what a gentleman, yeah.
I was like 16 years old. I went to his drum clinic, and I was like, I remember seeing him on TV, you know, like the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah.
Playing with, and his wife was Pearl Bailey, you know.
Right.
And then I went and saw him, and I met him, and all the other kids were asking questions. Hey, Mr. Bellson, you like John Bottom? He goes, yeah, I do. Yeah. What's your question? Hey, Mr. Bellson, you like James Brown? Yeah, I actually did a record with James Brown. Yeah. I said, hey, Mr. Bellson, could you show me that double thing you're doing with your bass drum? Oh, yeah, sure. Hey, Mr. Bellson, could you show me how you do those 4 sticks in one hand? Sure. The clinic part was me and him. And he said, and I said, Mr. Bellson, I got to go. And he said, I said, can I have an autographed picture? I still got that picture. He signed it to me. He said, listen, my wife and I, we adopted 2 kids, and the boy's name is Tony. I call him Tone. You mind if I call you Tone? He said, I'm at the Village Bar, Jazz Village Club at Disney World. Why don't you come out there? I'll be out there all week. So I went out there. Guess where he had the seat for me? Right next to his hi-hat.
Oh, my God. That's typical Louie. Absolutely.
And, man, I was like, then he did the one-hand press.
Yes. Yeah.
He said, Tone, grab my wrist. And it was like, I was like, wow. Then another drummer. So I got to meet a lot of drummers. Now my career is going good. I'm with B.B. King in New York at the Hotel Edison, where all the bands stay, right downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
Count Basie, Mel Torme, Buddy Rich. So I come out, I see this bus, and it's got BR on it, and it's got 2 drumsticks under the BR. I'm like, that's Buddy Rich's bus? And the bus is idling, and I knock on the door, clank, clank, clank. The driver opened the door. I said, hey, I'm B.B. King's drummer. Is this Buddy Rich's bus? And Buddy's seat was back. He had a big seat in the front, and he was reclined. He said, yeah, I'm right here. Come on out. So I meet Buddy Rich. Oh, Mr. Rich, man, it's so nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. He talked like James Brown. He talked through his teeth. Like,
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. So how's BB? Tell BB I said hello. So I would run into him occasionally out on the road, and I go see him. So we go to Orlando. We're doing this jazz festival, and we were staying at this hotel in Orlando, and the festival was across the street. And I looked at the schedule. Oh, Buddy's on. I get over there. It was too late. He was just finished. So he was sitting in the bus. I tap on the bus. The band was like, they didn't want to bother him. He had a towel around his neck. I'm sure they, Buddy, they don't want to be around Buddy. So he said, hey, how's it going? What's going on? I said, oh, man, BB is getting on my nerves, man. What do you mean he's getting on your nerves? Man, he always turn around. Slow it down. Pick it up. Play quiet. Play louder. Man, I'm talking to Buddy like two drummers. And I said, man, he's getting on my damn nerves. Buddy leans in. He goes, let me ask you a question. Whose name is on the ticket? I said, what? I said, whose name is on the ticket? I said, BB's name. That's right. Keep your mouth shut. You work for BB. Does he work for you? No. Well, keep your mouth shut. You understand?
Hey, this was old school lessons. These were old.
When I was with Frank, he turned around and said, Buddy, you're killing me. I said, Frank, you know who I am when you hired me. You don't like, get somebody else. You ready to start your own band? I said, no. Well, keep your mouth shut. Now, you having a good day? Yeah.
Hey, that's how they were, man. But that was that old school love. It really was old school love. It was hardcore how these guys taught lessons. Yeah, it really, really was. You mentioned Louie Bellson. What a prince of a guy Louie Bellson was. James Harrison, who's a phenomenal drummer, has got great, great hands. He's got some videos that I like watching on social media where not only does he play certain lessons where he shows some of his technique, but he shows some of his beautiful snare drums too. James is up in the Boston area. He did a duet with Louie Bellson, a highlight moment in his life. Louie was that kind of person, man, where he brought people in. You just had it, man. James, thanks so much for joining us here. Fantastic. But that's how it was, man. You met these people. Listen, these guys were tough. They would rake through the coals when it came to musical learning.
Oh, yeah. And I met Dizzy Gillespie. We used to do a lot of jazz festivals in Europe. They would be like music festivals, but they call it jazz festival because they would have a lot of jazz artists. Everybody from Herbie Hancock, Freddie Hubbard, Diz Gillespie, Clark Terry, Miles Davis, Miss Ella Fitzgerald, all these great people. And man, so we used to have a jam session after the festival at this hotel where we all stay. And all these guys would come up and jam. But I would never do it because I'm afraid of jazz, man. I'm like, nah, I ain't going up there. So Diz comes up to me one day and said, hey, drummer, BB drummer. He didn't know my name. Hey, BB drummer. Yeah, Diz. Why you never go up and sit in? I said, man, I don't play jazz. Bullshit. Yes, you do. I said, I'm afraid of jazz. He said, well, you're going to get up and play tonight. I'll get you up. I said, man, I can't swing, man. Don't worry about it. So he gets me up. And of all things, they call like Night in Tunisia. And I was like, booche, 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 booche. And all those jazz musicians looking at me like, what the hell? Then Diz turned around and said, do something like Art Blakey, more bluesy. You'll get it. Do that blues shuffle you do. He said, yeah, you're swinging, And after that, he said, see, you did it. That was your first lesson. Just keep doing it. You'll get better. He said, at first, you were swinging. You were dangling. Now you're swinging.
At first, you were dangling. Hey, listen, I've had some dangling in my life too, man, for sure. But what great, listen, you had the chance to be around so many of these legendary players. When we speak about even a name like Dizzy Gillespie, he also was a great percussionist. He loved drums and loved rhythm.
Yes.
He played sometimes congas and percussion in front of the band. And, all these great, great players that you had a chance with. So what do you think it was like with if you had to think of a couple of things that really kind of stick with you from all these great players, what would you say some of the real deep lessons were?
To be yourself, to be the best you can be, to not try to be anybody else, be inspired by everybody. But the way you develop your own thing is just do it the way you do it but keep in mind the way they implement it and try to take that, but it's going to come out sounding like you. So if we get on the gig, you're going to sound like Dom playing. If I get it, it's going to sound like Tony.
Right.
But what happens, in my opinion, something BB told me to say in your opinion, son, you don't know every damn thing. So in my opinion, be yourself, but be open to everything and learn from everybody, from rock. Learn to play things that you think you would never play.
Yeah, interesting.
Because you might get an opportunity, might present itself to you, and they say, hey, man, Judas Priest drummer just had a heart attack or something, or he had to go home. We need a drummer. Hey, I can play that. You can play metal? Yeah. So anytime I see anybody, I'm like right there, man, looking and listening, watching.
Yeah.
I never think it's all about, I got what I got and I don't need anything else. I watch everything. I don't be dismissive of anybody.
Yeah.
I'll be at a metal concert just like I'll be at the opera, you know. So always keep your brain open to learn something.
Yeah. But I tell you something. But with the experience that you had by playing with the blues, like even lessons from the blues that you did in Drumeo, that was really deep. There were several people here that this one here. Let me show Kent Roderick. Thanks for putting this web screen together, Dom and Tony. Tony, the way you outlined the blues on your Drumeo session provided so much insight on how to play with feel. Thanks for the inspiration, positivity, and the willingness to share your knowledge. Well, I mean, when you think about it, that really is what this is all about. About trying to share this level of information that this is experience. Which is of the deepest roots of playing.
Well, Dom, it's like anything else. I always use food analogies. I gotta get this weight off me, but I always use food analogies. Like, for instance, I've been so blessed, so lucky, man. I've been around the world. If you want to experience Italian food, don't go to Oliver in a Garden, okay? I'm sorry. Oliver in a Garden ain't Italian. Get your ass over to Italy. Experience the Italian culture.
Be deep, right? Yeah.
Take some time to save some money. Yeah. If you wanna taste barbecue, go down south where people cook barbecue, man.
Oh man.
So I'm just saying everything has its own flavor and its own ingredients.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to teach with the blues. Hey man, look, you're just on the surface. I'm gonna try to get you in here where the grease is in the dirt.
Yeah.
When you get some of that dirt, some of that grease put on you, you're getting there.
Boy.
But if you're just on the surface and you think, I got that, that's so simple. The simple stuff is some of the most difficult stuff it is to play because it takes so much discipline to be simple.
Yeah.
Because you always want to stretch. No, don't do it. Keep it right there.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult to do. And what's really difficult to do when people think it's boring is play a slow groove good.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to demonstrate. Most people, man, this ain't nothing. Ching, ching, cock, ching, 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 cock, ching, ching. Oh, boy. Don't do that. Be like, boom. Be right in it, man. Don't be up there. I'll tell you another story. Am I okay telling you this stuff?
Yeah, come on. I love it. Everyone's enjoying this. They're saying this is exactly what the young kids need to hear. When
BB got older on the latter parts of his life, he couldn't remember words anymore. He had arthritis in his hands. He didn't need the money. BB King was well off. He toured basically to keep the band working. Wow. He should have been home 5 years, in my opinion. He should have been home 5 years before he died and been resting.
Wow.
But he was still trying. But it got to the point where he was just talking a lot. He just wasn't able. And I used to get into it with management. Well, that's another story. But anyway, one time it became so bad that I would play with one hand, just be like on the hi-hat. Doom, 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 doom. And one time a friend of mine named Rick Astron, he's a good friend of mine, my brother, he was at the gig in Sacramento. He said, man, BB's kind of old. I said, yeah, man, this got so bad. I basically just be playing with one hand up there, just doing nothing. I said, man, I could be on the cell phone while I'm playing and texting. He said, well, let's do it. Let's see if you can do it. So we're on stage and I'm like, and somebody videoed me doing it, and it was on YouTube for a quick second. And the guy and a friend of mine said, "Hey Tony, you see you on YouTube?" The guy says, "Hollywood Bowl, BB King, John Mayer, Derek Truck, Susan Tedeschi, BB King's drummer texting while he played, priceless." I said, "Oh man." So I get in touch with the guy. I said, "Hey man, hey, listen, this is Tony Coleman." "Is this Tony Coleman, BB's drummer?" I said, "Yeah, man." He said, "Man, that was so cool. You were texting and playing, man. That was so awesome." I said, "No, man, that was bullshit, man." I said, "That was very disrespectful of me to do that. Please take it off. That's not that wasn't right."
Good.
I was wrong for that, man.
Hey,
I dishonored.
But listen, it takes a man to admit when they're wrong. Any depth of what it is, and we all make these kind of errors. But something, it's that your playing still spoke volumes. You still held it together, and you still kept it going.
Yeah.
That's depth. Check this out. This is Carlos Gutzman. A bucket list question: what 3 artists of who you would like to play with for some time in your career? Who was some artists that you would have loved to enjoy playing with that maybe you haven't played with yet?
That I haven't played with, that I would like to play with?
Yeah. Carlos is a phenomenal drum enthusiast down in Miami. Great guy.
That's a good question, man. I never thought about that because I really take every gig the same, man. It doesn't matter who it is, actually. I just approach it like, hey, I'm the drummer. I'm not starstruck or anything. It's like everybody is basically the same. I love everybody. So I just never thought about that. I don't know. But if I play in a bar for 50 people or in an arena with 50,000, it's the same to me. It doesn't change. It doesn't. If the check is good, I'll play. Seriously, man, I never really thought about that.
Well, you got to think about it, because that's something where it's very humble what you say, Tony. That really is. Everybody's on the same plane.
Everybody's the same, man. Nobody's better than anybody. Let's be honest. Some of these guys play at 100,000 people or stadiums or what have you.
Yeah.
To me, the gig on the stadium is no different than in the bar, man.
Right.
You got a gig. I admire everybody, man.
Yeah.
I do. I admire the guys in the bar. BB saw me in Nashville after we played at his club. The band, little drummers on the street corner, playing buckets. I had a tuxedo on, walking to the hotel, playing on the bucket. The tour bus go by the next day. BB said, "I'm looking out the window." I said, "Damn, there's my damn drummer out there on the corner playing." Hey, I just like to play, man.
But that's fantastic. When I heard you play a couple of years ago in Nashville with a group that you had, it was you listen. You sounded great. Your pocket,
thank you, man.
Deep. And I came down. I was at the doing some stuff for Mapex. We came in and we saw each other real briefly. And I was going to catch my flight, so I caught like 2 or 3 tunes. Everybody in the club was like focused on the band. And everybody moving and grooving and into it. It was like this. Everybody was on the same plane of thought process. Just so beautiful.
Because like I say, Dom, when you're performing, I don't care about who's in the audience. I don't care about what personal issues I got. When I get on the stage, I'm at work. No different than a pilot or a surgeon. How would you like to go to the dentist's office and he's in your mouth, and then his cell phone rang, and you go, just a minute. No, I want steak for dinner today. Hold on a second. What do you mean? What are you talking about? No, man, it's no different. I'm no different than anybody else doing their job. This is my career, my life. I'm focused when I do it. Now, after that, we can do whatever.
Let's talk drums for a second. We have James Harrison again has asked a question, a serious question, from one big guy to another big guy. What drum throne do you use? Is that's a Mapex throne you have back there?
No. My drum seat is I use the rocking sock. I have rocking socks. You know, this one has this is like the bike seat one.
Yeah.
But I have a round one. But you put the back to give yourself a little lower back support.
Good. Talk about the drum sizes you have there. What drum sizes do you normally? I mean, what you have there, is that a normal kit that you'd use if you were playing with someone like BB?
Yes. I have a 10, a 12, 13, 14, and 16.
Nice.
And I have a spare snare that's tuned a little lower, and one that's tuned, one to give me a snap and one to give me a crack.
Interesting. And that's a 22-inch.
Sorry?
That's a 22-inch bass drum?
22 inch by 16. Nice. I don't like my drums too deep. I like them to be more definition. As opposed to the low end. A lot of guys like the low ending sound. I don't particularly like low end sound for what I do.
Well, you mentioned Emperor heads that you use, and the Emperor, it's a thicker head. So
yes, it is.
It's going to give you more attack, which is going to project.
Exactly.
More. Yeah. Sure. That's smart.
Yes, because I go out in the audience and listen to guys playing, and a lot of times the engineer, their drums will sound like this when they go around it. I just heard one sound.
Yeah.
I want to hear bloom, 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 bloom. I want to hear the definition change.
Well, that's a big part of tuning through. I mean, tuning. We really have to have the ears to tune for the sound that we're looking for. I mean, I find it with my Mapex kit, as I'm sure yours, it's easy tunable, so it holds the sound, and you can get the clarity of each drum really crystal clear, which is beautiful.
It's consistent, very consistent. It stays intact for me, and I hit pretty solid. I don't hit through them, but I hit pretty hard.
Yeah,
moderately. I play it.
Let's see.
See what I do with my sticks. I don't like that, but I do kind of like off of it, like
play off the, yeah.
Not down through it, but more like come off.
Yeah.
Instead of
which allows the drum, if you play it that way, you choke it. When you play off the drum like that, you allow it to ring. Absolutely, totally.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I go around and I'm hitting it hard, but I'm coming off it instead of.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. It's interesting about drummers. There's I got to go back to here. Where is he? Mark Claremont, who is a phenomenal, drummer himself and a dear friend, Mark Claremont Jr. Drummers just get along with everybody. Tony, what do you think it is about drummers that we do these different sessions? We respect each other. What is it about drummers that can teach the world how to live?
Well, we were the kids that nobody liked. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what that is. I think what it is because when you love drumming, I've been loving drumming like as long as I can remember being alive. I wanted to play drums. When you want to be a drummer, you don't want to just be a drummer. Liberty DeVito, who's another badass, DeVito said something one time at one of his drum clips. He said, "Man, when you open the drums up to change the head, I just smell them." I said, I do the same thing. It's like when you want to be a drummer, you don't be just a drummer. You're inside the drums. You're a part of the drums. It's like drums, it's like most drummers didn't really learn how to be drummers. They became the drummers that was already in them, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas some guys, in my opinion, and like a lot of guys, guitarists, what the world needs less of is more guitarists. No, I mean, most guitar players, a lot of guitar players' attitude is, I'm the star, the guitar star. You're just the damn drummer. That's just a different attitude, man. As opposed when you're back there with that kit, you feel like, I'm supporting everybody, man. I get it. I'm the guy, you know. And when we're drummers, it's like, oh, you a drummer too? Yeah. If somebody walked down the street and see you with that hat on, Mapex hat, or Sabian shirt, or Vader drumstick T-shirt, or whatever, the cymbals or the mic, you play drums? Oh man, who do you play with? You know?
Yeah. There's a real
where guitar players do this a lot when they play if they're beside each other, and then the guy look at me.
There sure are some different personalities. I got to go over here. I want to grab Mark Bennett over here. Mark Bennett, do you approach tuning in the studio differently than tuning live? Now you have
no, I do not. No. Same way. The only thing I do differently in the studio is I do take the time to make sure I'm consistent, because in a studio, when you're recording, I don't play with click tracks. Yeah. I have played with them. I hate click tracks. Yeah. Personally, I hate them. Yeah. But when I play my kit, I tune it the same way, and it's up to the engineer to get my drum sound. No different than, I remember one time we were at the Blue Note, and the guy says to me, hey, Tony, could you tell BB he needs to turn his amp down a little bit? It's really kind of loud. He won't play at the same volume. He gets really quiet, then he goes really loud, and I'm having issues. Could you tell him? I said, hey man, just go tell him. He's right in there. You think it'll be okay if I go tell him? I said, yeah, go tell him. So he goes, first of all, you don't even say Mr. King. He's like, hey BB, you know, and BB is very dignified. He goes, yes. Well, I'm the engineer. I'm Rob, the engineer. Your amp is kind of loud, and you know, it's a small room. Could you maybe turn your amp down or something? I could do that. Sure, I could do that. But here's the thing: when I do it, I won't be here. Now, if you want me to turn it down, I can do that. But remember, I won't be here. Okay, thank you, Mr. King. Thank you. Have a good day. So you gotta capture what I get and play in the studio. So engineers have to be like, hey man, I got you. That's my job, to record you the way you sound. Yeah. Because too many guys go, man, I want to sound like blah 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 or blee blee blee. No, dude, you'll never sound like blah 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 blee blee blee. You need to try to sound like you sound and sound good. That's where I do it.
Boy, that's so true. You know, I want to talk about your 3 albums here, because and I tell people TonyColeman.com is your website that they can go check out some information. But your first CD was Out in the Open.
Yeah.
The second was Traveling Man.
Yeah.
And the third was Take Me As I Am.
That's the last one I got. And I got one I recorded in France called Bonjour, Mr. Coleman.
Bonjour, Mr. Coleman. So talk about that. We're going to record, because I know on the second album, Traveling Man, you had the Earth, Wind, and Fire horn section.
Yes.
Holy, what a great album it is.
Thank you.
Really, really great. And of course, the horn section is as tight as you can imagine.
Killing, man. They sound like a keyboard. They're so tight.
Yeah. So when you put your own music together, when you put your own album together, how do you organize all that?
Well, first of all, I don't read music. I don't read music. I sing out my parts, and I have it in my head, and I sing it, and then I'll have a keyboard player or somebody that writes out music charts write it out for me.
Nice.
But I already know in my head what I want to hear. You ever see Michael Jackson doing a song? You ever heard him? How he'll be going, I already know what I want.
Yeah.
So basically, I want you to go. Okay, once the bass player got that, yeah, that's it. Then I want guitar. And then, you know, and he's got his part. It's kind of like old James Brown school where you go, yeah, right over there, give me this over here. Horns. You know, like that. That's how I write.
But that's old school. Listen, there's some great music that has been written that way. You mentioned James Brown. All of his stuff was always in the pocket and on fire.
And then if you make a mistake, BB used to say, well, if you make a mistake, play it twice and play it louder. So when I write songs and see blues, like people don't know, if when you're recording, in my opinion, you got to have those drum tracks in your face, not in the back. The drums got to be boom, bats, boom, bats, and the bass. Those two instruments got to be the meat and potatoes. Yeah. Now everything else go around it and put the flavor on it. Then you got it. Then you grooving. In the studio when I record, I like to see. Like I had this one producer that was working with me. He noticed when I was producing this record. He said, "Man, everybody at the board is doing like this." I said, "Yeah, if they doing like that, it's good. But if they're doing like that." I'm gonna make that head do like that, man.
Yeah, well, you know, check this out, man. Liam Hardwick, I believe he lives in the UK. I saw Tony with BB King in Liverpool, UK in the 2000s.
I remember that.
Tony was shuffling hard. He drove that bus like a badass. It was absolutely inspirational. Watching.
Thank you.
Another fan that I say, you know, from the side, and here it is. He also says, I was about 13 years old. It changed his life. And then James Brown the year later, he heard. So I mean, that, you know, you've influenced some people, Tony, in ways that, again,
good, man.
It's incredible, just the amount of years you hit the road, the amount of dates that you did, the amount of countries that you did, that kind of mileage. That's how legendary careers are built, and you have done just that.
Man. And I never did over excessive drinking, never eating too much, never partying and hanging out. You have to get some rest, man. When you're on the road, you got your body tell you, "Hey, buddy, take your ass to bed, please." You know, you got to be healthy, man. You know, all that heavy drinking and destroying your body, and man, you got to be healthy. You know, you can have fun, but if you don't have your health, you ain't got nothing. So always stay healthy and protect yourself. And I remember one time when I was in Chicago, I met Mr. Philly Joe Jones. I mean, Papa Joe Jones.
Papa Joe Jones. He was great. Yeah.
I met him at Frank Drum Shop. It was a drum clinic for Ed Shaughnessy. And Mr. Murray LaShawn and Frank LaShawn at Frank's. You remember them?
Yes, very, very well, man. Murray was fantastic.
And they introduced me to Mr. Ed Shaughnessy and Mr. Papa Joe. Papa Joe it was cold in Chicago. He had on his fedora, had a scarf, had a coat. He was an old, distinguished looking guy, little guy. And Ed Shaughnessy was there, and they introduced me. This guy here is going to be a good drummer, guys. And I had my shirt open like I was in Miami Beach with a necklace showing. I'm like a young dummy. And so I say to Mr. Papa Joe, I didn't really know who he was. I just knew he was some old drummer. I didn't know he was one of the greatest drummers in the world. I was like,
literally, yeah.
"Hey, Mr. Papa Joe, how you doing? Nice to meet you." I'm all loud, and he was like, "Yeah, nice to meet you." I said, "Mr. Papa Joe, tell me, what can I do to become a great drummer one day?" He looked me up and down. "First of all, you need to get a scarf and a coat. You ain't gonna live long enough to be a good drummer." Hey, man, but all those things, you know, you have to listen to the older people, man. They know.
They know. You know, I had a chance to have a couple of lessons with Papa Joe Jones. And these names that you mentioned, Papa Joe Jones and Ed Shaughnessy, another fantastic. Ed played for 30 years on the Johnny Carson show with the big band, Doc Stevenson, great guy. And we lost him a few years ago. Ed also has a great book out about the story of his life, which is a great book for people to research. But these names that you mentioned, go back and review these names, Papa Joe Jones and Ed Shaughnessy and Louie Bellson, Art Blakey. These are these are legends beyond legends. They really kind of helped move the art form to where we are right now. And in our generation, Tony, we're kind of trying to continue this and carry the path on and move it forward.
Well, I just want to say to the younger guys, please listen to us, man. We're not going to tell you nothing wrong, man.
Yeah.
Like the old blues cats say, hey, look here. I ain't going to never lie to you, son. I lie for you before I lie to you. But the younger cats, you feeling young and sprung and all of this, man. Calm down a little bit. Trust me, calm down. You have longevity if you just pull it back a little bit. I know. And they told me that, and I didn't believe it. And now I'm like, hey, man, calm down, man. I used to be able to run on the football field like, one of the best running backs in the world. Now I can, if they got a game called Roly Poly, I'll be good at that.
Just who joined us, I saw his name come up here, Ralph Peterson Jr. What a phenomenal legend he is. He just joined us, my Mapex brothers. I'm going to have Ralph up here at some point in the next few weeks.
Awesome.
We're going to schedule him in too, because I want to sit and talk with him also. And just a phenomenal player. I was just with Ralph by the end of last year in Birmingham, in England, doing an event together. And of course, Ralph went up there and just slayed them the way that you do, Tony. You go up there and just slay the people with love and music. And power. Ralph, thanks so much. We'll touch base soon for sure. But Tony, I got to thank you, man. Having this time together, for Mapex on the Mapex Live on their Facebook page is so great. This interview will be posted on the Mapex YouTube channel. So I ask everyone to go to Mapex YouTube channel and subscribe. Join the Mapex wave of what we're doing with all these interviews. There are some great interviews that we've had.
Can I say one more thing before we go?
Sure.
This is serious. I want to be real serious. Look, America, we're America. We're America. We America.
Yeah.
We are America.
Yeah.
We know how to do the right and the best things for America. So let's everybody work together to make that happen. Because I love everybody, man.
Yeah.
But let's do that. All we got to do is respect each other and make it happen. Work together. That's all we got to do. Work together and respect one another. You ain't got to like TC, but you just respect me. I'm good. Other than that, hey, man, love y'all, man.
Boy, Tony, very well said. Very, very said. Very poignant, man. Thank you so much. I love you, man. We'll touch base real soon. Enjoy the West Coast where you are. We will talk. Thank you so much on behalf of Mapex. We'll talk real soon, Tony. Thanks so much.
Thank y'all. Okay.
Thanks.
TC ya.